with everyone, welcome back to my sitting room. My name is Diesel and you are as always most welcome. Today we're going to be discussing a book. Of course we are. That's all that we do around these here parts. I'm kind of late to the party on this one because I believe there has been like 4 books released in this series by now. The series might even be over. I don't know, I've only read one of them. But that is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. So let's get right to it because we might even have 2 book things today. Maybe. So what's it all about? Well, Throne of Glass follows the story of 18-year-old Selena, who is really the best assassin of her time, except she has been locked up in a labour camp for a couple of years for her assassiny ways, and now she's pretty thin and weak and obviously a prisoner, until one day she is dragged before the crown prince of the country or town or city land mass that she lives in, and he gives her an offer she cannot refuse. She will act as his champion in a competition that his father is holding to find the next royal assassin, and if she wins she will serve his father for 4 years, and after that she is free to do whatever the F she likes. And like I said, after being locked up in a labour camp for 2 years, she's kind of like, yeah, I'll do that. Cool. Selena is taken to the castle of Prince Dorian's father, where she begins her training with Captain Westfall, who is captain of the King's Guard. He trains her, he builds her strength back up because, you know, she's been starved and stuff, been spending her time in prison. And he is getting her back into peak condition. Each of the other members of the competition are being sponsored by higher ups, so they also have trainers, and since Prince Dorian cannot train the assassin himself, Captain Westfall is left to do it. Soon though, Selena gets pretty bored with court life. You know, she's used to a bit more excitement in her life. But things do start to get interesting when the prince takes an interest in her. However, it does of course seem that it is Captain Westfall who understands her slightly better. Then one night, one of the other contestants is found dead, murdered in a very gruesome manner, and slowly, one by one, more contestants are murdered. Selena has to figure out who the killer is before she becomes the victim, and as she investigates, her search leads her to find things that she never imagined possible. So now that you know what it's about, let's get right to thoughts. We'll start off the way we always start, and that's with writing style. I really didn't like it. Writing style for Throne of Glass was incredibly frustrating to me, and it made me want to rip up the pages of the book. But first of all, I could never bring myself to do that, and secondly, I was reading on a Kindle, so it was virtually impossible. There's nothing edgy or unusual or out of the box in Throne of Glass's writing style, but it still managed to infuriate me from the very core of my soul. First pet peeve is one character will say something and the other will react naturally in like their mind, but there's no differentiation between who has said something and who is reacting, as in like it's all on the same line, and it makes it so effing confusing that I was just like, who are you contradicting yourself, or is this another person's point of view? Which it was, and it made no sense. And because of that, I kept getting sucked out of the story to be like, what is going on here? This doesn't make any sense. My second thing, and oh, it's a big one. The other one was a big one too, but this one, you know that book line where it's like, there was a flicker of pain in his eyes, but it was gone as soon as it had come, blah, blah, blah. Well, that line, or a variation of it, was in this book about 15,000 times, to the point where I had juice beside me when I was reading, and I played a drinking game with it. just for my own amusement, and had it been liquor, I would have been bladdered, like wasted. I probably wouldn't have been able to read because I would have been so freaking drunk. I'm 25, by the way, so that's legal. Just saying. It was infuriating. Like, it literally, I couldn't. I literally couldn't. That is what it reduced me to. No. The plotline itself started off with amazing promise, because obviously I read the previews, and that is why I bought the book to begin with. But it kind of, let's put it this way, half the book, apart from the atrocious writing style that made me want to rip up non-existent pages, is really good, like decent, but the other half was confusing as F. Let me explain. No spoilers. One side is like what you expect from the description of the book, and the other side there's like a paranormal, supernatural type twist, which makes no sense to me. I'm sure it made sense to lots of people because lots of people like this book, but literally it was so confusing, and things would happen and I would be like, how did we come to that conclusion? Like, who are you? Where did you come? What is going on? What is happening here? No. And then there'd be big, like, plot twists, and I'd be like, wait, what? No, I don't. And not like, oh, did that just happen? But as in, why is this happening? I don't. And therefore, half the book, I was just like, I have no idea what's going on here. I feel, is this like, did 2 pages get like stuck together on my Kindle book, but the characters are still named the same thing? What? And it was just, it confused my brain, and therefore did not enjoy it. Also, as there is in lots of YA, you won't be surprised by this, it was said at the start, there's like a love triangle thing type yoke going on that's not really a love triangle, but still a love triangle, and it was just, I'm not a big fan of love triangles unless they're done with extreme wonderful taste or for other reasons, but I didn't like this love triangle. It kind of more annoyed me. It might have annoyed me because the characters annoyed me with their like non-differentiation. That's not a proper speaking word. Like, you couldn't tell the difference between who was talking and who was thinking, so it was just like, oh, screw you all. Yeah, so I didn't like it. Obviously, I won't be continuing on with the series since I'm not even really sure what happened in the first book, and I wouldn't recommend it, but however, each to their own. I was super disappointed though, because this book had really good reviews and lots of people had talked about it, and even I had said to one of my friends, like, oh, this is meant to be a really good book, we should totally read it, and then I had to text her and be like, I take back everything I said. Other than that, that's it. That's all I have to say. I'm going to leave now. Thank you very much for listening to my rambling. Go raibh maith agat for coming, and until next time, slán.